happening. Paradigm Shift 48 continues, and so does the shift and the testimonies that are coming in privately, and as well as some of you who are beginning to share in the group how you are using this process and how it's shifting you, which begins to make you a magnet for other things that you are shifting, or it feeds the action that you need to take. So welcome, everyone, to day 20 of Paradigm Shift 48. I am your host, La Tonia Taylor, affectionately known as the RevCoach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, and Passion. And I've been given other titles, other assignments, particularly when we start to talk about entrepreneurship. And, I love this topic because it certainly is a topic that rebirthed me. I cannot emphasize enough that entrepreneurship is a transformational decision and process. It literally can be the death of you or the life of you. It can be crucifixion or it can be resurrection. And some days it can be both at the same time. It can be all of those things. Entrepreneurship for me was a rite of passage. I cannot, and of course I do look at things in terms of ceremony, in terms of initiation, in terms of elevation and such, because the things that we go through in our lives usually are preparing us for something that we said we wanted anyway, or a natural call that's on our life. If you are listening and desiring entrepreneurship just to escape a 9-to-5, that is not enough. It's not enough to look for it as an escape, because as hard as you have worked on a job, you will work probably 10 times harder for yourself. There is no guarantee of a check. There is no guarantee of being supported, sometimes by the very people that you think, are supposed to support you. There is no forgiveness of when something needs to be done, and so you can rely on a team member or forward it to next week's to-do list and still get your check. Nope. It's not pretty. Especially those of you who are looking to have a microphone, a stage, or be acclaimed in that way. If you're doing it for that reason, it is absolutely ego-centered, and everything, every spirit that's attached to the ego of entrepreneurship will attach itself to you on your journey. Doesn't mean you can't get rid of it, but if that's the rites of passage you choose, I just want to say to you that there is another option. And I thank God for friends of mine who had been entrepreneurs long before I was, who started to prepare me for the journey. I confess that I fought my calling for a very long time, even though I had people who were around me who were saying, oh, La Tonia, man, you could do this. Oh, La Tonia, you could do that. Some of those people, not only were they not there when I launched, not because they didn't want to be there, but some of them had made their transition from this planet and were not there to guide me, but their messages whispered in my ear. Their messages fed my spirit. There were seeds, and then everything that I started to do after that watered the seed. If you can steal away, those of you who are employees, I would encourage you to consider the steal away process. And I also want to drop in your spirit very early on, count it not robbery or theft to have a full-time job or a job that you love and be building a business if you desire. You can build a business and instead of working a part-time job. You can build a plan. You can retire and build your next thing. Or you can do whatever. You can jump right into it. But whatever you do, know this. It is absolutely a self-mastery, a personal development process. And entrepreneurs, just like ministers or psychotherapists or social workers, who are not mentally healthy or who are easily offended, you will meet yourself on this journey. I'm not going to say you're not made for it, but I also want you to know that it is also just as rewarding when your gift begins to make room for you. And sometimes you may not start with your gifts. I wish that there are secrets that I had to learn on the job of entrepreneurship. I bring those secrets to my clients. And, of course, this year I will be doing more of a launch for women in business, specifically to dive into those secrets towards the fall, because I didn't know in some cases that I was only being given a little bit of information. You see, there are some people who come from the game that give you enough of information to bait you in and hold you and then pay for the next level. But rarely do you get a chance to meet people when they are talking about business. Business coaches oftentimes, they give you the 411 to play full out. And when you do meet those people on the journey, those are the people you stay with, even if you move on to other programs, coaches, and there are some of you who may not think you need that. But I tell you, it is one of the greatest investments, first in your own self-mastery, in your own journey. Now, where does the mindset come in? Because mindset is everything in terms of attracting what it is that you desire. And some of you who still have I can't afford, I can't do a conversation, you will want to do the work on yourself. Let me tell you, what happened for me was I got laid off from a contract, and I should say the contract ended. I was still a contractor with the company, but the contract that I was working on ended. It was almost a divine setup for me, because I was doing exactly what I'm saying to you. I'm not teaching you anything. I actually treated my business like a part-time job for many years. There are mistakes that I made that I absolutely will be teaching about. There are things that I just didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't even know to ask. I was trained. I was born a teacher, answered the call to ministry, and accepted the command to move into entrepreneurship. I was not born an entrepreneur, and I want to make that distinction, because there are some of you who were born with the hustle. You were born for entrepreneurship. That is your spiritual gift, or you know people who have that. Some people had to do it because they came from the streets, and they couldn't go work for anybody. And count that as a gift. There are some people who were born into situations such as poverty or street life, and you're like, I'm not living like that. And so you jumped into it. That's another gift. There are people who used to sell drugs or who used to swing on poles, but you might not have liked the industry that you were in, and you're out of it. But there, honey, you got transferable skills. Celebrate that. In other words, don't condemn it. The most difficult transition from the employee mindset into entrepreneurship is those who have been working for years as an employee, because an employee is a mindset, and it creates a welfare mindset, a codependency that I cannot stress enough if you're listening to me. And so if I did not have the personal development training, the self-mastery skill set, I would have caved in, because this, for me, also related to my chart. That's why when I read your chart and work with you on doing your natal chart, your birth chart, I look at whether or not you are primed for that, because there's some spirits and energies that are not, but that doesn't mean they can't be a part of a fabulous team or a fabulous business. If everybody was trying to do what everybody else did as a leader, see, some of us have to get in partnership as well in terms of our business. I don't know why I'm laying on this business, because so much. Maybe I really need to get into teaching on this sooner than later, but my babies are in the cocoon right now, and that's the rites of passage. And so I'm giving myself to them the way that I look for them to give themselves to the process. But listen, here's the mindset piece is Randolph Price says the first step in building a mental equivalent. Oh, let me evoke the name, that is firing me up, and that's Madam C.J. Walker. I really love her. Madam C.J. Walker is something else, honey. If you don't know about her story, but she's the one who says, I'm a black woman in the South, and she talked about her determination to build. And she said, I'm not just building wealth for myself. If you're just doing it for the money, that's another place. That also is where there are ego attachments. And she said that she just was a confident woman, first of all. She said, I'm not satisfied in making money for myself. I endeavor to provide employment for hundreds of women in my race. She said, America doesn't respect anything but money, but what our people need is a few millionaires. And I just thought, just think about, she drove, there's a picture of her driving and building her team. I feel and evoke and call on that spirit as I continue to build ReBirth. And I love that she was such a humanitarian. She said, I'm a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to the wash tub. From there, I was promoted to the cook kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory on my own ground. I love that woman. I love that woman. And I pray that her ancestral spirit is loving me back. But listen, in terms of the mindset, in realizing the fulfillment of desires, you have to consciously have the consciousness for the thing desired. If without the consciousness, that thing cannot come to you. With the conscious, it must come. I want you to hear that. When you have a consciousness for a thing, it must come to you. And this is why being specific is so important. The first step in building a mental equivalent is to recognize that the divine idea corresponding to your desire is already within your super consciousness. Think of it this way. The spiritual prototype of everything visible is a part of the energy field that is around and within you. You have it already. In other words, whoever is listening, you have what it takes inside of you already. If you would stop pronouncing your limitations over yourself in small things, God will make you ruler over many things. I don't know where that's coming from, but I just got to drop it how it's coming through this morning. Because, listen, if I'm just talking to myself, if I just got to tap myself on the head, on the shoulder, on the hips, on my thighs to say, baby, I'm talking to you this morning. You got to let me know on the other side, because the masters of self-mastery teachers, they say that in order to build a mental equivalent, there must be a fusion of thought and feeling along the lines of the particular desire fulfillment. If you know that you are feeling called to entrepreneurship, if you've been an entrepreneur and you get bogged down by the evidence of what's happening, I want to talk to you for a minute, because I know how you feel and I've been there. There have been times where I'll be preaching my face off, giving to my clients. And sometimes that I don't always see the return on my investment right then. You see, because I'm not in the business of a product. I don't have a bunch of products. For me, this is ministry first, because that's what I am, a teacher, a minister first. But sometimes it feels like the slavery instead of service at times, I confess. And there are times when I know what I'm putting out is better than and higher quality than somebody who may be specialize in sales and marketing. They know how to market it, make it fancy, make you promises and offers. But there are times when I know how good I am, but there were times when I didn't necessarily see it. It felt like I was inching my way. There have been times in entrepreneurship where I partnered with people, not a lot, who have turned on me, who have said things that I supported. I mean, I put money in their pocket, and they turned around and tried to take money out of my pocket. And I still had to grow up. I still had to show up. And I want you to know today, don't look at the evidence that you see. Look at the evidence inside of you that you want to see. And this is the mental equivalent that even Napoleon Hill talks about. This is why Napoleon Hill says that anybody who is looking to manifest and has deliberate intent, it comes to pass quicker in the mastermind space. What do you think our tribe is? Our tribe is a mastermind space. However, when you are in programs with me and taking sacred journeys with me, you get a chance to master your mind. You get a chance to mind your master. Come on now, because some of us need to mind our master, because there are certain things that still have master over us and not us master over it. And I confess to you that those are the very things that sometimes you got to go only to prayer, because you might not have the money to invest. You may not have not right now, you may not be able to turn it around quickly because you made a mistake and you got to go back and fix it. There may be things that you drop that you got to pick back up again, but you got to get over the spirit of failure. You got to put your ego to the side. This is the mental equivalent. And one of the things that the teachers speak of is that he's talking about three distinct things, and let me say that, three distinct things. One is the energy of the absolute, the pure life, pure love, and pure intelligence of your God self. That is the reality of you. This is the realm of cause. We oftentimes get focused on effects. But to shift the paradigm from the inside out, from the mindset level, so that you become a magnet for things, that the doors begin to open for you, whether you're just starting or you are continuing or you are leveling up on the journey. When you shift and not get so bogged down by the details of what other people are doing, you get so focused on comparing yourself, then this is where you have to go back to pure life, pure love, pure intelligence of your God self. This is cause, y'all, not effect. Another piece is the energy of action. This is the phase of mind that works with the law of cause and effect. See, some of us only want to live in the realm of the woo-woo. And the woo-woo is good until it's time for you to take the vacations that you want to take. The woo-woo is good until it's time for you to be able to show up in to get the support that you need in order to show up for yourself in the way you want to show up. There is energy of action, okay? And it is the creative power of the lower planes and functions that as a laboratory. In other words, sometimes we got to humble ourselves and do what we have to do until we can do what we want to do. And my daddy used to teach me this. Come on through, Dennis. I hear you talking to me. Dennis used to say to me, of course he probably would cringe in his soul if I never called him Dennis. My mama just giggles when I call her by her name. But my daddy would say, he would say, if your job gives you a pink slip, you want to be able to have a skill that you can do until you can do what you want to do the next time. And he used to say, just do something. And see, the old people would tell us things, get in motion around something. Sometimes the analysis of paralysis, your gifts are right there in front of you. You're sitting on gifts, your crafts, the things that you think are not. You know, I remember one sister client. She had a propensity for drama. She just always was dramatic. Every time her and her husband went through something, the whole tribe just had, oh my God, we was always praying, interceding. And it was never as bad as she was making out to be. And instead of condemning her, people started to get frustrated with her. I remember saying to her, why don't you go take up acting? There's a place for you on the stage. And something in her awakened, and she always wanted to do it. It was a dream deferred. So drama would show up in her life. Some of you don't know that these little things that you discount, others have taken and mastered. Anytime a woman can make a business out of hula hooping, travel all over the world and becoming a professional hula hooper, show up on the Steve Harvey show, get contracts to be at parties. Don't tell me that your little thing that you discount, your bracelet making, can elevate to become fine jewelry. Don't tell me that your sewing cannot be on the runway somewhere. Oh, come on now. Listen, the energy of action. And then there is the energy of awareness. And this is the relativity in consciousness referred to as the objective mind. In other words, when the action energy or subconscious mind receives instruction from the direct awareness energy or objective mind, it will begin to form subjective patterns based on relative conditions, qualifications, and precedents. When you treat or affirm out of the lower level of relative consciousness, meaning what you can see, your demonstration will always be dependent on your preconceived ideas. Sometimes we are praying about the problem and not praying about the greater vision that we have. You're not taking action to a greater vision. You play with this thing. And that's why the scripture says, I believe, help my unbelief. Sometimes the paradigm shift is where you don't really believe that you can go to the next level as a business person, a businesswoman, or that you can do both and, because your body is not being fed what it needs to do to work a job, come home, and then, do 3 or 4 hours where you can put some money to the side, or you can put it in a savings account. Back in the day, I remember my mama's game was a Christmas club. There are some people that know how to make money without leaving their house. Come on, y'all. We don't have any reason. And I didn't know this. I didn't know it either. So that's something to bring into prayer. I didn't know this initially. I wasn't born into this. Everybody in my family were good girls and good. They got up and went to job. A lot of people in my family don't have a street hustle mentality. They didn't have that. They just had strong work ethic. They had an employee mindset. So I couldn't lean on them for inspiration, motivation, and support initially. The few people who did say, I'll pray for you, I took that. And that was enough for me. There was a time where I couldn't talk to my family and build, because they would infuse me with their fears, because they were coming from the entrepreneur mind. Well, what you going to do if? What you going to do if? Well, the question is, a lot of times they're worried that you're going to call on them. The question is, what would you do if I needed to call on you? And see, that'll get you real sober. That'll motivate you real quickly. In other words, this thing got to turn out, and this thing has to happen for me. But then there's a point, even in the journey, where you have to detach. You cannot get too uptight about it. Entrepreneurs, I can tell you, before I came into this Paradigm Shift 48, my body started speaking to me, because I literally went from being on set to right into launching and preparing for the business. And pleasure literally is what grounds me. And pleasure is what brings me back. And I confess to you, I was not in the pleasure of jumping in. I wanted to take some time, a break, before the next season aired, before this or that, before the next opportunity. In terms of what I'm doing, what it looks like for me is to be in extended states of a flip-flop state of mind. And I'm going to tell you that until I started really practicing the medicine of pleasure as I teach it in the Juicy Spirit umbrella of programs, until I shifted enough. First, it just looked like taking a damn nap without feeling guilty, because something had to be done. Entrepreneurs, you know that something always has to be done. Your to-do list, it will run in your mind and prevent you from sleeping at night. And so sometimes there are things that you have to do to move that energy. I had to start making sure not that I worked out as an option, but that I worked out it as a self-care plan, as self-mastery, as shifting the paradigm. When I couldn't control the thoughts and the worry and the this and the that, and I had to remember what's your first call. And this, my beloveds, is why I'm doing this paradigm shift. Well, not just that. There are other things that are shifting in my life, and I want to rise to the occasion. And some of you, there are things that are shifting in your life, and you want to rise to the occasion. Play full out. When you get off of these calls, do what you need to do to get in the mirror. Go to the altar. Go take some time, soak in a tub. Go to work zenned out if you're going to work zenned out. To declare your day. Listen all day long to whatever is going to keep on running. Yeah, I got a super playlist. Y'all talking about you can't get to the playlist on YouTube. Hang in there. There's enough that's already there. But I did provide the information for you to get to the blog talk, ReBirth by La Tonia. That being said, that's a good segue for us to go into our affirmative process, right? This is a place of our meditative place. Take a few breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. In through your nose and out through your nose. Before we affirm today, just get into your mind the quiet place in your own spirit. It's there. Let go of the appearances of your outer world. Some of you are too attached to where you are as being a problem rather than you being the solution where you are. And great business people solve problems. They become the solution. They provide a solution to a need that's already out there. Some of you are cursing where you are and expecting to be blessed for where you're going. You got to stop cursing where you are. We have to stop cursing where we are, no matter whether you are the employee or whether you are the entrepreneur building or whether you are the entrepreneur rising to the occasion. Consider and contemplate the wholeness of your divine self. Closer than breathing is the presence of God. I am. Absolute harmony, perfect love, infinite wisdom, the only power, the only cause, the only activity of eternal life. That is what you are connected to. That is where we are. Consider this even as we go into our prayer. The Spirit of God, what does that mean for you? Is the life force within me. Feel that life force with your breath. And every cell of my body is filled with intelligence. Take that in. Love and radiant energy of the God mind. If you don't think you're alive enough, feel your pulse and give thanks for the pulse and build right there. Do it even while I'm talking to you. God's will for me is perfect health. You've got to be in condition sometimes to handle the capacity of your anointing. And so sometimes it is the preparation of even getting your health into alignment. God sees me as perfect because how you see yourself is how you believe God sees you, because if you are still looking at a God outside, you're still trying to please one outside. And you'll find your God in other people, places, and things. And so until you begin to see yourself, then you will be able to see your perfection. Therefore, wellness is the natural state of your being as well. And so today, as we call forth this energy, this power, this presence, we call forth into this our entrepreneurs, We affirm the power, the spirit, the energy of success operating as satisfaction, operating as mind-blowing breakthrough resources from this all-knowing, all-powerful, holy I am energy. We connect with source energy this morning. We take our focus off of others and their resources and call forth the resources so that we can ask for provision for the vision, and that our vision will be made plain as we continue to give ourselves permission to write it and rewrite it when necessary, to speak it and re-speak it when necessary, to pray it and to pray it in power and affirmation at all times as necessary. We thank the ancestors that have gone before us, that have been entrepreneurs, even if we don't know who they are. We thank those who have held the space and the gap and made sacrifices for us through their consistency as employees. We give thanks for those of us who have been good to other and served other people's visions well. We call forth that same service to our own vision, even if it's small beginnings. We count it not robbery for where we are. That we call forth the abundance, the success, the prosperity, the amplification, the paradigm shift in all businesses connected on this call this morning, for all business minds connected on this call this morning, for partnerships that have yet to be formed. We call that forward. We call for the ease and the eloquence of even partnering together and winning together without competition but only collaboration. We call forth business forgiveness for where our mindset has been operating in lack, where we have been stressed out, where we have been worried and comparing ourselves. We call forth the spirit of forgiveness even over our business and our minds about business. Help us to mind the business that pays us. Help us to stand in support of another the way that we want to be supported when we stand. Help us to be able to promote in a secure place, from a secure place, when other people are winning, that we don't look at it and ask what's wrong with me. When other people are shifting, that we are able to say, I know my shift is right here as well. We thank you for those who maybe none of this applies to, and they just need to rise to the occasion of the invitation to stand even taller, to play a bigger game. We ask for those clients, for those resources, for the money that is needed to invest and to reinvest and to do well, and to break generational curses of struggling, to break generational patterns of lack consciousness and poverty, to stand as the one because we've been called to be the one, that we will be provided with all that we needed beyond the one mind and the one way of seeing things. We thank you for those who are multi-purposed and multi-passionate, that there will be no limits, that we take ourselves out of the box even sometimes that the marketplace will put us in. We thank you for the unique formula for us that will cause breakthrough success. We call forth this breakthrough success, even if it comes 21 days from now, if it comes 40 days from now, 1 year from now, that we will remember that today we touched and agreed in this spirit and in truth here on this day. Today is a new day for every entrepreneur, every person that is on the team of a bit of business brilliance, every person that is supporting their own vision, even at home, that even a mother is the most powerful entrepreneur there is on the planet. Fathers who are budgeting and taking care of their families and trying to figure out how to be Superman are also the baddest entrepreneurs on this planet. We thank you for the beginning of entrepreneurship happening even with parenting. And so we give thanks for the ways that our gifts show up in multifaceted areas of our life. We ask that our gifts continue to make room for us, We ask that to our ancestral committees, angels, archangels, and guides, that even when we're hard-headed, when we don't listen, when we're resistant, when we're stressed out and distracted, that we will send those thoughts to the nothingness from which they came, so that we can be available to spirit, so we can be available to new ideas, so that we can be available to new inspiration, that those ideas and those inspiration will turn into cash flow, cold, hard dollar money. Yeah. Whatever that means to you, we thank you for even the swag that's necessary to show up in our anointing without worry, without a competitive spirit, without having to do it like those who have done it hard, that we surrender the idea of grinding and causing ourselves to become a puddle, a mush of worry and constraint and restriction. We pray for the things in entrepreneurship that attract us, that will become attractive to us, and that we will attract more of it on this journey. We let that be so, and so it is. So let the words that I have sent forth from my mouth today now return to me void. For those who are touching and agreeing, that they will find favor with it in their lives, that favor will be able to be a place of giving, that we will not be stingy as we continue to win, that we will give back and position others to do the same. So for this and so much more, we let it be so, and so it is. Ashe. All right, beloveds, have a wonderful day. If you know an entrepreneur, get them in this space to connect with this call, this energy. The creative call is still vibrating in the minds and hearts of those of you in this tribe. We're going to continue to amp up, and I'm looking forward to creating some magic with you. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. See you on the other side. Make sure you join my live today at 1 o'clock. I will be in the group today at 1 o'clock p.m. All right, ciao.